Hello, I apologize. This is Amy Lindahl for not being able to be at the meeting this Friday. So I am coming to you with a quick video that will give an overview of what is in our Cancer Inequities unit that's under development. And I really look forward to seeing the recording of your conversation and what you presented at this Friday's meeting. So I first want to say this document is just incredibly disorganized right now. I'm sure the link can be shared with you if you want to do some of your own exploring. But just to sort of tell the big story of this unit, what we're attempting to do here is help unpack some of the ways that we often learn about cancer risk, which is this idea of, oh, as an individual, if your diet is a certain way, and if you exercise enough, and if you don't smoke, you can not get cancer. And what we want to do here is kind of expose the fact that in a lot of ways that construct is a fallacy, and we're operating in a world where we have very disparate experiences. Introducing students to the idea of the social determinants of health. So, looking at ways that factors like racism can influence cancer risk and cancer treatment and mortality. And then to have students, not just be in this place of, wow, this is really bad, but what can we do in our own communities to enact some positive change? So, we're ending the unit with kind of a deep dive into what are the local issues in our area that are related to cancer and what can we identify as some action steps. So that's kind of an overview of the entire unit. We start in a place, I'm not going to open all of these up, but we start in a place where we are just kind of challenging this idea of can we prevent cancer and what would it mean to do that? And oh, is this actually in some cases really beyond our individual controls? And yeah, just like why is it that we see these patterns in our society that certain people are at higher risk of cancer? And in fact, maybe cancer is a reflection of some of these inequities that we're living with. So, once we get students there to humanize some of the data, which we start to present in that first lesson, we have this cancer case study series of activities. So, with the cancer case studies, there's all of these different stories. Some of them are fictionalized, some of them are based on interviews with real people. So, the idea is that students will read through these case studies with a team. And as they're going through the case study, they will analyze what's going on in that case. Which of these factors are at play, and how are they impacting the person? So again, the big picture idea here again is to humanize what's going on. That data is really about real people's lives, and making that connection really clear for students. Then we're heading into the territory of giving students some frameworks for understanding what they're seeing in the case study by having them learn about the social determinants of health. And part of what we'll ultimately get to is kind of the limitations of the framework and pushing students to think about the underlying reasons that these variations in health exist in the first place. So, looking at things like wealth gaps and racism, and how those play a role in the social determinants of health existing in the first place. And then this middle part, if Renee's at the meeting, she can talk to this in a little bit more detail. But we wanted to approach this idea of intersectionality with some sensitivity that, the data that we have often doesn't reflect intersectionality very well. And just this idea that we have this real gap missing in our data collection. So it's really hard to address inequity when we're not even measuring that it exists. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about here, and then a dive into some different examples of how different aspects of identity, sorry, sorry, how different aspects of identity are impacting cancer. And then just kind of moving along, then we're looking at sort of local cases, and how different factors are impacting cancer risk in different areas, and then ultimately moving students to a place of identifying something that they would like to see changed.